Hi everyone, my name is Marcus and you're watching the Reef Nerd YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you something pretty cool, and that's some Feral Frag plugs. So I first saw these on Facebook and honestly I've never seen anything like them. These are food grade resin frag plugs that are wild colors. In fact, this line of them is called Tank Rave, so that should give you an idea as to what to expect in terms of unicorn vomit of colors, and they are completely UV reactive. They come in a heap of different colors, basically all the colors, and you'll get a mixed assortment in the pack of 12. They're a standard size frag plug, so should be good for any frag rack you have. And they're completely reef safe because they're made of food grade resin. These are a handmade product, so as you can see from the pictures I'm putting up on the screen, they're individually molded, sanded and cast, and they are really something else. Now at $25 for a packet of 12, they're not super cheap, but certainly for something that's handmade and as unique as this, I don't think that's expensive at all. I wouldn't expect, if you're a mass propagator and you're going through thousands of frags or anything like that, that you'd use something like this. But certainly if you're an avid hobbyist and you're going to be fragging expensive acro or really nice corals, you know, what's an extra $2 or so for a really nice glow-in-the-dark frag plug that can, you know, really elevate your coral and just make it look cool? And let's be honest here, if you're a reefer and you're into your UVs and blues and all expensive acros, or like all of the bright rainbow colored corals that we are used to in the hobby, I suspect something like these is something that you're going to be really into. Feral Frags only just launched. Their website went live, I think, yesterday. They've had a Facebook group up for about 2 weeks now, and the owners are just hobbyists like you and me. So it's not a big business, it's just a local hobbyist in Australia doing something really cool. And for that reason, I want to support them. Go out, check out their website, check out their Facebook group, give it a like, and you know, if you want some feral frag plugs like this, just buy some. Support the industry, support the hobby, and people coming up with really cool ideas and something that I've never seen before. So yeah, this is the kind of thing that makes me excited in the hobby when I see people contributing cool, awesome things like this. Now for the rest of today's video, what I want to show you is how I go about fragging. So I'm going to cut off a piece of one of my really nice acros. I'm going to cut off a piece of that Walt Disney colony that I've got just there, and I'm going to make the perfect frag. So I'll show you my exact technique and how I can present probably a 2 centimeter frag of Walt Disney on an awesome frag plug like this in the best possible light. Whether you're a home fragger and you frag 1 or 2 corals a year, or you're maybe you've got a frag tank and you want to pump out 30 or 40 frags a month, hopefully you'll find this interesting. But it's by no means the only way to frag or the only way to go about it, but it's my way, and I hope you find it interesting. Okay, so here's my rather nice colony of Walt Disney, and I'm going to be cutting the frag off this colony. Now, how I go about choosing which of the branches to cut is basically just by which branch do I think will have the least impact on the overall aesthetic of the colony. Also, which branch do I want to potentially split, because fragging a coral often causes the regrowth to regrow in the form of 2 or more extra branches. So you can sort of cause one long skinny branch to become like a T or a Y type junction of 2 branches as it starts to regrow. So in this case, I've decided I'm going to cut this piece here because I think that would look nice. It's a good size, so it'll make a good frag. It won't impact the overall aesthetic of the colony, and if it does regrow back as a Y branch, I'll be very happy. That's not guaranteed, but yeah, hopefully it does. And so as you can see, I'm just using flat clippers like this. They're flat on one side. You want the flat side facing to the bottom. You want to just gradually select where you're going to cut from. Just give it a tiny bit of a clamp and then a little bit of a twist. And then it should come loose just like that. And then very gently, nope, no. I dropped it, but I can see where the branch went. Got it. There we go, got it. Get it out of the tank and onto the Euro brace. There we go. All right, didn't go exactly to plan, but you know, as long as you've got some long tweezers, you can usually get out anything you drop. All right, so this is my little frag setup. All you actually need is you know, a work surface, some paper towel or napkins always come in handy, the glues that you're going to be using, something to hold the frag plugs, and of course the coral. In this case I've just got the Walt Disney frag that we just cut sitting in a little bit of tank water here, just to keep it wet while we work. You do want to kind of work as quickly as possible, but don't rush to the point of making mistakes or doing a sloppy job. Corals are tougher than you might give them credit for, and something like this, it'll be fine being in these conditions for, you know, upwards of 10 or 20 minutes, in fact, as long as it doesn't dry out, of course. So, first things first, we need to decide which of these awesome feral frag plugs I want to use. I've got a selection of them here on this little 3D printed frag rack. I've got a green and pink one, I've got an orange and pink one, I've got a blue and pink one, and like a purple one as well. And given the colors of the Walt Disney, I think I want it to contrast with the frag plug in this case. I'm gonna go with this one, this blue and purple one. I quite like, actually, no, I'm gonna go with the pink and blue one. Yeah, let's go with this one, is gonna be the frag plug that I use. And before someone comments down below, yes, obviously the corals are going to encrust and grow over these frag plugs over time, and then you won't see them, or they'll get covered in algae or coralline algae or something like that, and then the effect of the UV glowing frag plug will be lost, obviously. But hey, it's a fun product, and it's like, if you're trying to sell frags, or you just like the look of these for when you can see the frag plug, that's the point. Now, I have two glues that I'm going to be using, and this is how I personally frag almost everything these days. I have the Me Coral Gel, which is a really good super glue, basically. The reason I like this one is it's very thick. And what I've been using more recently is the Aquaforest Poly Glue. Now, this is really interesting. It's these little plastic beads. You just get a small handful of them and put them into a glass cup. Now I've just put probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 15 of the little beads into this glass cup. And I've got my kettle, which I just recently boiled, and pour in some boiling water. Now, these little white beads are turning clear in the boiling water. And once they're completely clear, they're now like a malleable, soft molten plastic, more or less. And so I'll be able to take them out of the boiling water, mold it into the shape I want, put a dab of super glue on this frag plug, put the moldable poly glue into that super glue, take my coral, put a dab of super glue on the underneath of the coral, and then push it into the poly glue. So you're creating like a sandwich of super glue, poly putty, super glue, and the coral, and mold it all together, and you can smooth it into sort of an upside down cone shape, and it will end up looking really clean, really good. It creates like a pedestal for the coral. It's a very secure mount for the coral, but it's also able to be snapped off it's also able to be snapped off the plug in the future, which is important for many people as well. So it may sound like a lot, but it actually only takes a few seconds to do. That's why I'm describing it before I actually do it. And I think you'll really like the end result. It's, in my opinion, the cleanest and most superior way to glue. I used to do it instead of using Aquaforest Poly Glue. I used to use the two-part putties. And while they're good for bigger corals like LPS and things like that, it's a lot of work for just a small frag to be mixing up really small batches of the 2-part putties. So that's why I really like this poly glue. It's also cleaner. It doesn't leave a residue on your fingers. You don't have to mush it and mush it and mush it to mix it together. All you do is just put it in a bit of boiling water until it turns clear. So yeah, all right. Got my coral, got my glue, got my paper towel, chosen my frag plug. Let's do it. First things first. Super glue. Now, with the super glue, the most important thing after you use it is to wipe off the end of the cap and put the lid on securely straight away. That will stop it continuing to leak out and stop the nozzle ever getting blocked or become unusable next time you go to use it. Now, occasionally it does still happen, but thankfully the Me Coral Glue comes with 2 nozzles. So if you do happen to mess up one nozzle, you can always just take it off and replace it with the spare. All right, so I've wiped the end of that cap and put the lid back on straight away, and that will stop it continuing to leak. So I've just put a dab of super glue on the end of this frag plug. Now, let me just get some tweezers so I don't stick my hand into boiling water. Teaspoon will do. So I just scoop out the poly glue, which I've got just here. You can see it's clear. It's really soft. So you just mush it together into the shape that you want. I just make a little ball like that. You do have to work quite quickly with this poly glue because as it dries or as it cools down, it will go hard. And there we go. I've just pushed that, centered it into the super glue. Now I'll take my super glue again. Another little dab. This is just to create that bond with the plastic and the coral. Done. Put the lid back on. Get our coral. Now you just want to dry the bottom of the coral, just where it's going to be making contact with the super glue. Just dab it on the tissue and push it straight down into the poly glue. Like that. Not all the way, you don't want to bury it in there or anything, just enough to create an indent. And then I'm just using the side of my finger to smooth down the side of the poly glue into like an upside down cone type, or not into a cone shape. And that'll give us a really nice looking pedestal. Now when this poly glue sets, which it's doing very quickly, it will turn white. And when super glue dries, it's usually white or clear. There we go. There is a really nice frag. Now I'm gonna get this into my tank now. This is good to go, that's done. The super glue creates the instant bond. The poly glue is hardening very rapidly, and this coral is good to go back in the tank. And once it settles, I'm gonna get some cool footage of it and show you what the end result looks like on this this feral frag. All right, so here's the end result. I've just put this temporary frag rack in to illustrate the effect. And as you can see, these things are awesome. They glow really well under blues and under UVs. There's an assortment of colors, you know, like when your frag plug outshines your frag. That's a slightly unhappy piece of Walt Disney. It will get polyp extension in that once it calms down. It was only fragged 10 minutes ago, but I think that looks fantastic on that frag plug. You can see the Aquaforest poly glue that I used forms that that little cone pedestal for the coral, which is going to encrust down over that and onto the frag plug really nicely. And once it grows out, it makes for a really nice looking frag. So yeah, that's my new favorite way of fragging and gluing corals down. So yeah, absolutely recommend. And if you like the look of these awesome, shiny, bright frag plugs, hit up Feral Frags, because yeah, I reckon they're a lot of fun. You know, you don't have to use something like this for every frag you make if you're doing heaps of them, but certainly for your expensive frags or anything you really want to highlight or show off, I think it's a really, really cool addition to the hobby. That's just a temporary frag rack, by the way. I don't normally have that in my tank sitting front and center in the middle. I just put it there for the purposes of filming. My regular frag racks, these ones over here, are actually from Rack City, so check out their Facebook page as well. These are custom acrylic frag racks that have a really modular design, so you can actually lift the frag shelf off the magnet like a shelf independently, so you don't have to take the whole thing off if you want to take the frag rack out. And also they do models where the I'm not sure if I can get it on camera. Let's see. Sorry about the dirty glass there and all the coralline, but you can kind of just see on this one here, there's a silicon ring wedged in the hole for the frag plug stem that really holds the frags in place, which I really like, because if you've got a big blue tang or something like this who sometimes likes to pick up frags and throw them around the tank, this provides a really firm grip onto the frag plugs, so the fish can't, even if they're picking at algae on the frags or whatever, they can't pull them off the rack. So they do all kinds of models, shapes, sizes, colors, although mine are all purple right now because they're covered in coralline. But yeah, check out Rack City if you're interested in some really high quality and well thought out frag racks. And of course, Feral Frags for these hyper glowing, super cool, UV active custom resin frag plugs. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you found this video interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the comments down below. My name is Marcus, and you've been watching the Reef Nerd YouTube channel. Bye for now. One thing I forgot to mention is Steph from Feral Frags also sometimes makes these cool little trinkets and freebies that get chucked in with your order. So if you want some things to decorate your weir or your Euro brace, or just some little UV reactive resin trinkets to have around the house, maybe place some orders with Feral Frags, and it's a lucky dip to see what you end up getting.